What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, NVIDIA, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers, and break down what's happening with the market thus far as we have important resistance to watch for, and how the charts are looking, my personal opinion. Let me just mention that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, the market is continuing to uptrend, once again testing some tough resistance as I speak. And the question is, will we break through this and continue to push, or will we see a rejection? I'll be talking about this in just a few minutes. But just note that today is Monday, August 19th, 2024. We basically have Waller from the Fed giving a speech at 9:15 a.m. Then at 11:30 a.m., we have the 3 and 6 month bill auctions coming out. So watch to see what this leads to. On top of this, I just want to mention that when it comes to other factors, the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, and Nasdaq have been pushing very, very nicely so far, but we're at some tough resistance right now. Also, some big earnings coming out for the week, not to mention some new pieces of news involving geopolitical issues, but nothing too crazy, I would say, at least thus far. For earnings, we have Palo Alto Networks after the market closes today. Then for the next couple of days, we have a lot of retail like Lowe's, Target, Macy's, TJ Maxx, and the list goes on. So for SPY in the market, I just want to mention that right now, we're still technically uptrending on SPY. There's no sign that we are rejecting, in my opinion, and the market's doing a good job at holding up. Now, we're going to be looking at this trend line. This is actually one level which I think is worth watching for. This is going to be one of our supports if SPY were to turn south. So basically, what I'm seeing so far is this. See this red line up here. I actually drew this out yesterday. This red bar I have marked over here. This is going to be our resistance on SPY near 556. I think we could push close to that, and we'll have to see if we get a big rejection near 556 or not, back down to the trend line or even below this, or if we just break through 556. If we break through that, we could be pushing for 560. So look for a push up towards the resistance near 556. If we break that, we could be pushing for 560. If you reject it, we'll be coming back down towards where this trend line happens to be. So I'll be watching that. I think we could push a little higher near 556, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get, especially as we have a nice kind of like inverse head and shoulders like structure that is developing. So I'll be watching this very carefully on SPY, then we'll see what the reaction ends up being. For ES, we're basically approaching resistance around 5,600. I think we could push towards 5,600 on ES. We will see if we break through this and start pushing up for 5,625, or do we reject on 5,600 and start dipping back down? I'll be watching this big test right here. If we do get the rejection, I'll be looking for 5536 as a support. So watch 5,600 and see what kind of reaction we get. I think we push a little higher on ES, and we'll see if we reject or not. For SPX, it's the same thing essentially. We're going to push a little bit higher, most likely. But honestly, we have to watch this test. We're going to be watching to see if we get this rejection or not. Look at 5580. This is one of those days where I'm not going to give you guys like one prediction, one direction, because it depends on the level. It depends on what kind of reaction we get, because we did reject off this level 2 times in the past. So will we push to resistance and reject back down to the lower 5500s, or do we break past 5580 and go up to 5600 on SPX? We'll just have to wait and see. For NVIDIA, it's the same thing. We're still uptrending. We're looking bullish overall. But look at 125 to 126 as resistance. We got to break 126. If that breaks, we turn bullish, and we're going to get closer to 129. If you reject off 125 to 126, we could be returning back down to 123, then 121.5. Overall, we are looking bullish on NVIDIA, but watch resistance. It's going to be tough between 125 and 126, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get. Bitcoin is making lower highs. I do see a risk of this potentially retesting 59,000, maybe tipping to 57,000 as of right now. So be careful with this, at least moving forward. For Tesla, we're doing a good job at holding up, but we have resistance around 217. If 217 breaks, we're going up to 220. If we don't break 217, look for 215, then 211. That's going to be our 200 EMA on the 4-hour time frame. So we'll just have to see how things go. With this wick forming, this does favor the upwards direction for 220 plus. So we'll just have to wait and see what the move ends up being. Now we're trying to uptrend right here. We could try to push higher, but we're at some tough resistance on Tesla. So even if we do dip a bit, it could be completely fine for Tesla. Even if we retest like 212, even 210, Tesla could still bounce and continue to remain bullish as we're riding this trend line up. As long as we're above the trend line, we're going to be fine. But right now, we'll see if we dip a bit and continue higher. I do think it's going to be pushing to 230 soon. But watch and see if we get a dip first and continue higher or not. But I still think the chart is bullish nonetheless. For the QQQ, we look bullish. We're going to be looking at this 475 to 476 area. If we break this, we could be pushing for 480. And if we lose this, if we reject off 475 to 476 and we don't hold above 475, there could be a dip back down towards our 20 EMA around the 470 area. So just be very careful. And then we'll have to see what kind of move we make from here. So watch and see if you reject on 475 and tip back down before you try to rebound higher, or if we, if we see a bigger dip or not. And then we'll also be watching the resistance at 475 just to see how the QQQ reacts. I want to call that out specifically because when you look at Apple's really fighting this resistance up here around 227. If we break that, we continue higher. If not, we could be dipping. We could be dipping back down closer to 225, if not 223, if those levels fail us. So watch resistance very close to 226 to 227. For super micro, we have basically this channel at 620. If we're bullish, you want to see it break past 640. If we're bearish, you want to see it lose basically 600. So we're stuck in the middle. So give this some time and we'll see what kind of reaction we get. For the IWM, we have resistance around 213. If we break 213, we're going up to 216. If we reject, we're going to be dipping back down towards the 210 area, and then we could continue higher later on anyways. We're riding this trend line just like how Tsla and SPY have their trend lines of support. The IWM has something very similar. So watch resistance at 213. If we break this, we continue higher. If not, we could be dipping and then continue higher later. So watch and see which reaction we get. We're going to be waiting very, very carefully. For Coinbase, we're basically going to be looking at 203. If we break above that, we're looking for, if we hold above that, we're going for 210 probably. If we reject, look at 199 as support. So we'll just have to give it some time. For Amzn, it looks like it's going to test 180, might push a little higher. If we break 180, we remain bullish for 184. And if we reject, we'll be dipping back down towards the 20 EMA at 174. So it looks a little bit more bullish to me. For Meta, we're basically looking at 525 as our support. If we lose that, we'll be dipping all the way down towards lower levels, such as 518, all the way back down here. If we hold above 525, we could rebound to 530. So be careful. This 525 support, we'll see if that holds. It's a little bit weak to me. It might retrace to at least 520. So be very mindful of that. We might test 520 right here, and then we'll see if we bounce. So be careful. Microsoft is also going to likely retest 416. Then we'll see if it bounces or not. And Google is actually outperforming. It's trying to break out here. Look at 160 as resistance. If this breaks, we're going up to 170. So it looks pretty good. With that being said, some stocks are bullish, some are looking a little weaker, but overall the market is holding up nicely. And stocks like Tesla and IWM have lots of upside potential nonetheless. With that being said, thank you all so much for listening. Hope you guys have a great day. Be very patient with your levels. And I'll see you guys in a couple of hours for another update. Thank you for listening, and peace out.